In the past 12 months at my agency, we've worked with multiple 7 and 8 figure e-commerce brands to increase conversion rate, AOV, and overall profitability through split testing and funnel building. And by doing that, I've had the opportunity to speak with dozens of brand owners about split testing, about CRO, and about funnel building. So today I want to answer the 30 most asked questions that I've gotten from brand owners. And by the end of this video, if you're an e-commerce brand, you'll want to start split testing for your own brand. So if you want that, first link in the description, you can book a free audit call with me. But for today's video, in the YouTube chapters, you'll find every single question if you want to scroll easily through the video. So now let's get to question number 1. The first section of questions will be about CRO fundamentals, and the first question is, why does CRO matter for e-commerce brands? So if you've looked at ad platforms in the last few years, you've seen that customer acquisition costs, CPMs, CPAs have gone up for every single brand out there, and that's because every month and every year, hundreds of brands and new players pour their money on the market, pour their ad spend on the market to get cold traffic, and there are only so many placements on social platforms, so that naturally makes the cost go up for everybody. So that's why in a market like this, the brand that can afford to outspend its competition for cold acquisition is the brand that will win. So CRO is important because it's not the time anymore for just great ads and just great creatives. They are still super important and the foundation of every single cold traffic based brand out there, but they're not just enough anymore. You also need high converting funnels that can support that level of scale. You need a high converting store, an optimized store for that level of scale. Ads are just not enough by themselves anymore. You need to also make sure you have converting funnels and stores in the backend. The next question is, how do I know if my brand needs CRO? And here there are a few pointers I can give you, but obviously this situation varies brand by brand and situation by situation. So if you want to know for your specific situation, then you can book a call in the first link in the description. But the pointers you can look at here is if your AOV has been stagnant for the past few months or even the past year, if you keep spending more and more money on ad spend and the ROI keeps getting smaller and smaller, your profitability gets lower and lower month by month, year by year, then in these situations here, you know that it's not just a creative problem that you need to stop just testing creatives for the sake of it, but you need to also start optimizing your funnels and sending all of that traffic you struggle so much to bring in to your store or to your brand or to your funnels. You need to also convert and have high converting funnels and pages and landers for this traffic. Third question is, what's the most common reason brands fail to convert traffic? And the main word that comes to mind here that I always like to use to answer this question, the word is friction. If you have friction anywhere in your funnel, anywhere in your store, in your copy, in your messaging, in your offer, in your buy boxes, in your images, in your education, in your information, there's just a lot of points and a lot of things that customers need to look at. Obviously, you need to remember that year by year, customers get more sophisticated, so they need more information. They look for more information. They want to get more educated. They want to make sure that the purchases they're making are the best ones. Also, with what I mentioned at point 1, with more and more brands getting into the competition, they want to make sure the purchase they're making is the best one, and so they look for more information. So if there is friction in your funnels, in your store, in any of the other points I've mentioned before, that every single point of friction there is reduces your conversion rate, reduces the likelihood of a prospect converting. So the word here that you need to solve for is friction. Every single point where there is friction, you need to solve this friction. You need to find a way of making sure that this friction does not happen at any point in your funnels in your store, and that is achieved through CRO and split testing. The next question is, what metrics should I track to measure CRO? And here the answer varies a little bit brand by brand, but the main ones you need to look for are revenue per visitor and profit per visitor. And revenue per visitor specifically is the combination of conversion rate and AOV, and it takes into account both of them in a single metric. So that's the main metric you want to optimize for when doing CRO, because it takes that into account and it works for both very high AOV brands, it works for very high volume but low AOV brands, it works for everyone. Is the value of every single session, of every single visitor you get on your store. So for CRO, you need to optimize for revenue per visitor, RPV, and profit per visitor. The next set of questions is the ROI you can expect from CRO, and specifically the first question is, how fast can I get results from split testing and doing CRO for my brand? So this answer obviously needs a little bit of nuance. It's different between brands and between situations, but the general answer that I can give is that CRO is something you do for the long term. So not just a month, not just 2 months, not just 3 months, but 6, 9 months, a year, longer than that. It's a continuous cycle. It's a continuous process that you apply every week and every month, continuously split testing your store, your funnels, reducing and resolving the points of friction that I've mentioned before in your store, in your funnel, in your messaging, at every single point in your customer experience. That's what CRO is about. So it's not about how fast, it's about how long term can you keep it up to see those incremental improvements stacking up to a big win over time. The next question is, what kind of revenue increase is realistic? And this obviously depends on what your current metrics look like. So your visitors, your AOV, your conversion rate, and things like that. But on a general note, we've helped brands add multiple six figures in monthly revenue in just 45 days or 60 days. We've helped brands go from 2-3% CVR to 4-5-6-7% CVR. We've built some cold traffic funnels that have converted cold traffic at 9% conversion rate. So it's really not that hard to add multiple six figures in revenue if we're talking about months, and 7-figure plus if we're talking about a year plus of time to apply split testing, to keep it up, to keep the cycle up, and to run the system properly. The next question I have here is actually the first question that will get a negative response from me, which is, can CRO work even if my traffic volume is low? So here I have to answer no. If you are under 60 to 70k visitors per month, I would not suggest starting CRO or split testing, because running a test will take just so much time to actually be statistically significant for you to make a decision that makes sense and to get a significant ROI from CRO. So if you are under 60 to 70k visitors per month, I actually suggest your goal be and your strategy be, dial in your creative strategy, dial in your current funnels and your current landers. For these types of brands, we build specifically funnels and landers to support their creative strategy. So if you're under 60 to 70k visitors per month, focus on that, focus on dialing in your creatives, your ads, your ad copy, focus on dialing in your product pages, your landers. And then when you reach 60 to 70k visitors per month and up, then you can start actually thinking about split testing and applying split testing to get a significant ROI on that. Next set will be about running the tests and the actual technical part of it. And the first question I get the most here is, what's the easiest split test to start with? This is a question I get a lot from brands that just want to get a feel for how it is to run split tests and to understand the mechanism behind it. And the suggestion I always give here is, take the page you're running the most traffic to, take that page, take the above the fold and change something about the above the fold, but instead of just changing it and publishing the changes, change it and split test it. So take the page running the most traffic to, in most cases it's the PDP, take the above the fold of your PDP, make one change and split test that change, and you have an easy way of starting to split test and understanding the mechanism that's behind it. Next question is, how long should I run a split test to get reliable data? And here the answer is actually very simple. You have three simple ways of doing that. The first one is searching on Google for A/B test sample size calculators. You input in your metrics and they will just tell you exactly what's the minimum sample size you need to make sure that a test is significant at a certain percentage. The second way you have is just opening up ChatGPT or Claude, inputting in your metrics and also asking it what's the minimum sample size you need, and they will also give you a lot more information on how to make sure that your test is significant at different percentages. Or the simplest one out of all of them is using an A/B testing tool that gives you all of these metrics and all of these percentage automatically on a dashboard that's easy to use and easy to look at and easy to read. And that tool for Shopify brands is Intelligence. We use Intelligence for every single client at our agency. It's perfect to use to run split test, content test, price test, shipping test, every single test you can think of, you can run that with Intelligence on Shopify. So if you want to use Intelligence and to get access to all of this data on an easy to read dashboard, then you can use my link in the description to start using Intelligence. The next question here is, what happens if a test shows no improvement or if it fails? And here a lot of brands owners are afraid of losing revenue, losing customers and things like that. But here there is a reframe that needs to happen, because I always mention here, you would have lost more revenue and more customers if the test, even if it's losing, did not happen. And that's because when you run losing tests and by the end you have a big enough sample size, the test is significant and the test has lost, this is loss avoidance and it's not actually lost revenue and lost customers. Because if you made the change without actually split testing it and you just published it and left it there, you would have lost more money and more customers by not split testing it than by split testing it, figuring out it's a losing test, and then removing the test, keeping the control and avoiding the loss because of the split test. So the opportunity cost of not split testing is that when you make changes, even if the test loses, you actually have avoided the loss by putting the control at the end of the test after the test loses, then just publishing the change without ever testing it and without knowing it's actually hurting your conversion rate and your revenue. The next set of questions is about common CRO myths, and the first one is, do I need to spend a lot on traffic before investing in CRO? And actually here there needs to to be a reframe of the question, because CRO actually allows you to spend much more on traffic and more profitably than what you would have been able to do before than split testing, without CRO. With split testing with CRO, you're actually able to spend much more and much more profitably. And so the answer here is, if you have those 60 to 70K visitors per month to have at least a big ROI or a significant ROI on CRO and split testing, then after that, when you implement CRO, you can actually spend much more and scale even harder. Will CRO stop working once my competitors catch on? And here, to answer this question on competition, I need to talk about the fact to make a point for this answer, which is on Shopify at least, between all of the A/B testing tools on there and all of the merchants that sell on Shopify, the total adoption for A/B testing tool is less than 4%, which means 96% of brands on Shopify are not actively split testing at the moment. Just to give you a reference, for email marketing tool, currently Klaviyo holds a 60% adoption rate without even considering all of the other email marketing tool on the platform. Just Klaviyo alone is 60%. And for A/B testing, 96% of brands are not actively split testing. So right now, even in 2025, this is a competitive advantage. And even when they do catch on and start split testing, CRO is specific brand by brand. So it allows you to understand deeply your customer audience and to sell them in the best way possible. The next question here is, do I need a brand new redesigned store to start CRO? No, you don't need a redesign of your store completely to start CRO and split testing. Actually, it's counterproductive to that, because when you change too many things at once, you cannot pinpoint an improvement or a decrease of performance, of revenue, of conversion rate to a specific change. And when you redesign a store, you redesign too many things at once. And if you don't split test it, let's say it even performs better than your older store, you don't know exactly what has driven all of those conversions, all of that revenue between all of the things you have changed on the redesign. So no, you don't need a redesign of your store before starting. The next set of questions about strategy, and the first one here is, how can CRO help me scale to 8 figures? And the key here to scaling is marketing efficiency. And by efficiency, I mean, if you put $1 in to paid traffic, how many dollars can you get out of that single dollar? And that's marketing efficiency. The higher marketing efficiency you have, the easier you can scale and you can beat your competition. And marketing efficiency, you can reach that by having optimized funnels, optimized stores, optimized lenders, reducing friction at every single point in your customer experience. That's what gives you marketing efficiency. If you just pour more money in on creatives and on ad spend, your margins will keep going lower, your profitability will keep going lower. But if you spend time on actually improving your conversion rate, improving your AOV, improving the worth of every single conversion, every single customer you get, then you can actually improve your marketing efficiency. And that will be the key that gives you the leverage you need to reach 8 figures and beat and dominate your competition in your niche. This question is one also that I get a lot, which is, should I focus on CRO or ad spend to grow my brand faster? And the truth is that in 2025, you cannot afford to do one or the other. You need to do both. It's not like 5 years ago where you could just put up some creatives on Meta and just get 4, 5, 6, 7 ROAS, crazy ROASes just by putting up some creatives. You need to make sure that the funnels you have, the lenders you have, and the messaging you have on your store, on your funnels is converting as much as possible. So you need to do both here. The fact is that ad spend is the fundamental thing. Obviously, if you have a brand that's based on organic traffic, it's different. Just for the sake of the video, we're going to talk about brands that get most of their traffic from paid. You need obviously to do paid and you need to spend on creatives to be able to get traffic in, but you need to think about CRO as a multiplier of your ad spend. How efficient is your ad spend? As I've mentioned before in the last question, you need to make sure that you're as efficient as possible. And to make sure that that's happening, you need to have high converting funnels and stores behind that. So you need to think of CRO as a multiplier to your ad spend. The next question is, does CRO improve customer retention or is it only for new traffic? So most brands think about CRO as something that happens on the front end that does not in any way impact or help the retention on the back end. And in most cases, this is true, but I want to make an example here of a brand we've helped, specifically a supplement brand that runs an MRR offer for their supplements. And here, just by testing a few things, like for example, setting expectation better, giving out more information and more education on what's the timeline to expect for results for the product, we've helped reduce churn on the backend for their MRR, for their subscription, just by split testing some of these easy changes you can make even on your PDP if you're on MRR offers or things like that. So in most of cases, yes, it's something that impacts the front end mostly, but you can even improve retention and reduce churn if you're on MRR offers by split testing. Next, I want to address some concerns brand owners have about CRO and split testing. And the first one is, what's the risk of running split tests during busy seasons like BFCM? The answer here is simply none. There is no risk at all of running split tests during busy seasons if you do it right and you have technical people and developers in place to handle your split testing in your CRO, which at the agency we do and we provide for our clients and the brands we partner with. Then there is no risk at all of running split tests during seasons that like BFCM, for example. The next question is, will it affect my brand's voice or customer experience? And the answer is yes, it will affect it, but in a positive light, because you'll know even more about your customer base, you'll know even more about your customer avatar, you'll know even more about your target audience, so you'll be able to target them better, you'll be able to talk to them better, you'll be able to write better copy, better ad copy, make better creatives that will help you ultimately sell your product better and sell your mechanism better. So yes, it will affect your brand's voice and your customer experience, but it will affect it in a positive way. The final set of questions is about our specific process at the agency, and the first one is, what happens during the first week of working with you? So I have a video answering specifically this question on my channel. It's called POV, you start split testing with us today, and I'll leave it in the top right card here on the YouTube. You can go watch this video to see exactly what happens from day 1 of the collaboration to day 7 and then onwards working with CROEvolution and with my agency to split test your brand. So you can go watch that video to get the full answer to this question. The next question is, how do you prioritize which CRO changes to make first? And here the answer is super simple. We have a formula in place for that. The change that it's the easiest to implement, has the highest impact, and gets the most traffic on it will be the highest priority change. Everything else comes after that. So it's a simple formula we use to categorize and prioritize the tests and the hypotheses we make for brands we work with. It's a very simple formula. You can also apply it yourself if you're already split testing yourself. Ease of implementation times impact times amount of traffic equals the priority score. The next question is, what tools and software does your agency use for testing and optimization? The 3 answers here are super simple. As our A/B testing tool of choice, we use Intelligence for our clients and brands on Shopify. It's the best tool on Shopify specifically for split testing and doing content tests, price tests, offer tests, and shipping tests. Any test you can think of, you can do with Intelligence on Shopify. You can find the link down below in the description. For brands that are not on Shopify, we use Convert.com, and then for heat maps, scroll maps, and click maps, we use heatmap.com. It's the best tool in its category. It has revenue tracking. It has revenue tracking incorporated in it, and it's the best. Also, the link for it, you'll find it down below in the description. And to actually implement the changes that we make in the split test and to build the funnels and the pages that we build for our clients, we do that with custom code. We build them natively on the platform they're selling on. The last question here is, can your agency work with my existing Shopify apps and integrations if you're on Shopify specifically? Yes, we absolutely do that. We don't need to install any new apps or use anything new or remove or change whatever you're using as far as apps and integrations. We can suggest some things we use and we've used in the past with other clients that work extremely well, but we do not require you to change your integrations or your apps or whatever is the current system you're using to run your brand. If you need more answers or you want a detailed audit of your situation, then you can book a call. In the first link in the description, we'll go over your brand on the call and I'll tell you if we're actually able to help you and implement our split testing system for your brand to increase conversion rate, AOV, and overall profitability. You can also get subscribed to my email list in the second link in the description, and you'll receive in your inbox my 60-page guide, how to implement a split testing system from A to Z, the process we use for our clients. And you'll also receive weekly insights on the tests and the funnels we build for our clients at the agency currently. See you in the next video.